Good morning. This is Rusty 78609 in Central Texas, USA. It is, and I quote, November the 26th, 2016 at 10:05 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I am headed to Marble Falls to get some gasoline and groceries. Amazing, isn't it? Temperature is about, let's see here what it is, 58 degrees, little high clouds, overcast. Nice day in Central Texas. And there's one car on this road, well, two. One just passed. The other one is right on my bumper. Jeez. But anyway, my name is Rusty. My channel is Rusty78609. I'm a full-time RV for 24 years, and I go camping in a Toyota Prius. Now, I go car camping in my Prius. For those of you that have an interest in that, check out the playlist on my homepage for RVing or camping in the Prius. A lot of tips. Anyway, what else? I had a lot of comments on different videos, and I appreciate it. And in fact, what I'm going to do this morning is I had a message from a long-time subscriber. I think it's a long-time subscriber, and I think it's a she, posed like 39 questions. I'm not going to try to answer all of them in this video, but they're interesting. There were a lot of, it's a lot of stuff that a lot of viewers might want to know about me or about my thoughts on things. So I'll respond to some of them. And yeah, there were 39 questions, and they were good ones. They're good. If you were interviewing somebody, they would be the type of questions you'd ask. And not that I need to be interviewed. I'm not applying for a job. I've got none, and that's the way I want to keep it. She had 4 that I picked out related to camping, so I'll respond to those this morning on the way to Marble Falls. This is Park Road 4 in Central Texas, USA, for you new guys. It goes around over to Highway 281, which goes all the way to San Antonio, Texas, but also goes to Marble Falls. Anyway, got my dark chocolate almonds and my green tea, and life is good. But anyway, we kind of combined a couple of these here. She says, when did your love for camping occur? And then there was another one that says, did my family go camping when I was a child or when I was young? Answer to that second one, I don't recall. I grew up on a farm in Kennedy, Texas, and I don't remember a lot of camping events. There were 2 that I recall. One occurred in 1954 when I was 9 years old. My father had made a good crop of flax. And whenever you made a good crop of flax, you made a hell of a lot of money, apparently. Because we bought a new 1954 Ford Crown Victoria 4-door, automatic transmission, no air conditioning, of course, with an AM radio only, and proceeded to take a 2 or 3 week vacation up through Colorado and into Utah. We went out through New Mexico. I believe we went into Arizona, and then we went up into Colorado and Utah. I remember going to Pikes Peak, and we camped along the way in a big tent. And there was another family that went with us that had 2 children, so that made a total of 10 people. There were 4 children, and the parents in my group made 6, and then 4 in the other, made a total of 10. And we camped along the way and cooked. There were campfires and stuff. It was a pretty primitive camping trip. We camped dispersed camping in the forest, as I recall. and other places. And I enjoyed it, but as far as then the next question is, when did my love for camping occur? I don't know that it developed any there. I really don't, because we did that one event, and then the only other camping that I did after that was in the Boy Scouts. We went once a year to a place called Indian Creek Scout Camp, which is near Ingram, Texas, for a week or two, depending on what you were there for. I received the Order of the Arrow, whatever that is, and I stayed an extra week for that. But but we slept in tents there for that period of time, and of course they had a big lunchroom for us there to eat 3 meals. We didn't cook out; we ate in a big lunchroom. But I really didn't have a love for camping. As far as I know, we never owned a tent. When we went camping, I think the one we took with us was the one from the Scout Hut, and that's the one we used for our camping trip, because my daddy was a Scoutmaster and everything else. He was president of the Lions Club, ran the co-op gym, did all kinds of stuff. And but we didn't do any camping when I was young, other than the 2 events that I just mentioned. As far as a love for camping, I don't even know that I have a quote love for it today. I enjoy it, but I think the thing I enjoy most about camping, whether it's in an RV or in a car or anything else, is the adventure. And by that I mean, vive la différence, the differences. You go to one place and stay a day or 2 or 3, and then drive a couple of 100 miles or so, and it's all different. You go from deserts to mountains to forests to oceans, and it just fascinates me. And camping for me, it's not all that easy. I mean, it's because you're not in a predictable environment all the time. You don't know where the grocery stores are. You don't know where the good places to eat are. You don't know where the cheap gas is. So you feel a little off balance when you're traveling, but the pay for the repayment for that is just seeing the beauty of the variety of environments in the U.S., Western U.S. for me. I never cared much about the eastern part. It's too crowded. In the West, you can get on some roads and there's little to no traffic for hundreds of miles. And in the East, you're not going to find that. It would be very difficult. But anyway, that pretty well addresses the first 2 as to, did I go camping when I was young? Rarely. When did I develop a love for camping? I'm not sure I ever have. And then the next question is my favorite camping spot. And that's kind of hard to pin down too, because a camping spot can be a great camping spot one year because of the weather and the bugs, or the weather's perfect and the insects are minimal, and then you go back to that place a year later and the bugs are total hell and it's raining. But there are some places that I do favor over others, and they're mainly in New Mexico. Of course, there is a place in Arizona. It's the I never can remember the name. I think it's the Kaibab Forest. You can do dispersed camping just before you get to Grand Canyon. That's pretty nice. I like that place, because if you get there in April or May, it's virtually, well, it used to be, I don't know what it is now, it's been years ago, but it used to be there was hardly anybody there, and you could go visit Grand Canyon, about 30 miles away, 40 miles away, and nobody there hardly. But that was nice. I also like Wild Rivers, Bureau of Land Management campground north of, it's actually west of Cuesta, New Mexico, the northwest of Taos, New Mexico, not too far south of the Colorado-New Mexico border, and it's on the Rio Grande River, and it's part of Rio Grande Gorge, so there's a big canyon there. It's beautiful, very scenic. I hiked down to it one time, and I'll never do it again. And this was about 4 years ago, my first Prius camping trip. I got to the campsite. It was beautiful. The weather was perfect during the summer. The park wasn't crowded, and I was reading the signs about the trails, and it said this particular trail down to the canyon was, quote, moderate. Ha, ha, ha. Shit. Well, at that time, I was 67 years old, and I had my little walking stick, had my walking shoes, and away I went down this moderate trail. Well, let me tell you, going down wasn't too bad. You had to be careful, because if you made the wrong step, you'd end up at the bottom of the canyon real quick, and might suffer a little damage. But anyway, going down wasn't too bad, and of course I had acclimated to the elevation. It's about, I'm not sure, probably 7,000 feet there, elevation. Climate is dry, low humidity. And anyway, I took the trail down like I knew what I was doing. Again, I was 67 years old. I walked for exercise. I mean, I'm no wuss, but I went down to the canyon, fooled around for about 45 minutes, watching the rapids and the river, and looking at different things. And there were some campsites down there. Some people had camped. They weren't there when I was there, but anyway. And then, of course, you got to go back up. Well, that's the catch-22, because as anybody know that's climbed anything, going up, or excuse me, when you're going down, sometimes can be just as dangerous as going back up, and you have to be careful about slip and falls going down, even though they have a little trail. But coming back up, sheesh. Then I thought I was never going to get to the top of that thing. Moderate. I thought, Jesus, if this is moderate, God damn. I mean, that's as far as I'm going. But as far as favorite camping site, that's a good one. I like Aguirre Springs because it's never crowded either. That's in New Mexico. Kaibab Forest in Arizona. Of course, I've never camped at Quartzsite, and this time of the year it might be nice. I understand it's not very scenic. And this time of the year it's pretty crowded with snowbirds and stuff. But other than that, I like Guadalupe Mountains. I don't anymore because it's gotten so crowded. Big Bend the same way. I used to like to go to the basin and camp, but God, everybody's out camping now in every kind of rig you can think of. And those places that used to be what I thought were isolated, well, they're not isolated anymore. A lot more people are going camping. So I'm down to Wild Rivers and Aguirre Springs. There's another place that's not bad. It's a little state park outside of Alamogordo. It's called Oliver Lee State Park. And it's a little bit of a nothing park, but it's got some nice views, and it's not too crowded. I was there a few weeks ago, whenever it was. And it's still pretty nice. And one reason I like going there now is that damn grocery store in Alamogordo, Lowe's, Lowes, on 10th Street. If you ever go to Alamogordo, you got to go to that grocery store. It is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I mean, it makes you hungry when you go through the door. I'm sure there's a jillion other favorite campsites. I don't have any in Texas anymore. I've got a few in New Mexico. But, again, I like all of them if the weather's nice and the insects aren't too bad and it's not too crowded. Those are my favorites. Where are those? Who knows? The scariest thing, then the next question she asked was, the scariest thing that ever occurred or happened while I was camping. Well, when I was camping pulling my RV, I don't recall really any what I would say scary events for 20 years. I mean, I never had a problem anywhere or any time that I can recall, because at that time I was camping in places that had some kind of hookups, either electric water, or electric water and septic. And those are usually your most secure campgrounds. And so, but in the Prius camping, I had two incidents actually. One was just strange, and one was, I guess you'd say, scary. And I was in Colorado, and I wish I could remember the name of the town. It's a very popular little town just across the Colorado border, and a lot of people go there. I may think of it, but anyway, just north of there is a national forest, and you go either dispersed camping or they had some developed campgrounds. I went to one that was fairly what they call developed. It had a couple of those little toilets there and had water. So I looked around and found me a spot, and I hadn't even gotten out of the car. I was looking at some maps of the campground to see if maybe there might be a better spot before I got out to level the Prius. And while I was doing that, a guy came by in an old pickup. He came by the first time, just a guy by himself, came by real slow and went around a bend and disappeared. A few minutes later, here he comes back again. And then he pulled up the road and he stopped about 100 yards from my campsite. I thought, well, that's all right. Maybe he's looking for a campsite. Still nothing unusual. Well, then he turns around and he comes back down the road and he's going real slow. And when he gets within about 20 yards of my campsite, he stops again and he's just sitting there in his pickup and he's looking at me. And I had my binoculars, so I'm looking at him. And I'm thinking, what the hell is he up to? So then I thought, well, maybe he's wondering if I'm fixing to leave this spot and he's just waiting. Well, then he gets out of the truck and there was a toilet about 50 yards from where I was parked, maybe 75 yards, but he left his truck where it was, walks in front of my campsite, which is about 20 yards off the road, goes down towards the restroom, but he doesn't go in the restroom. He walks right back, goes out back, and disappears for a few minutes. I guess he took a piss or something. But then he came back and he was walking straight toward my campsite. Anyway, I had my hand on the pistol because I thought, this guy's a nut. And he looked a little grisly. Could have been a nice guy, I'm not going to say. But it was just strange. And he walked up toward the car. He got within about 10 yards of the car, and he was just looking at me. And it was like he was trying to make up his mind about something. And I was about making up my mind about something too. And, that's why I take that pistol. It's just so comforting. Anyway, he stood there for a minute, and then he went back to his pickup, got in it, and left. Well, needless to say, I waited about 15 minutes, and I left that campground and went to another one. But that was just a strange event. You could probably blame that on just being too safe or paranoid or whatever you want to say. The scariest thing that ever happened was wasn't actually camping. It was when I was coming back from a camping trip, and I know I've talked about it before, and it happened in Lubbock, Texas. I was staying at a Motel 6 and went to a restaurant to get some food, and when I came out of the restaurant with my plate of food to go, I just sat down in the car seat, and this black guy appeared at the passenger window on the right side and was banging on the window and pulling on the door handle at the same time. Okay? And had that door not been locked, automatically when I get in the car, I automatically hit the lock button. And anyway, he would have got in. But anyway, I had a pistol in the seat, and I picked it up and pointed it at him. He immediately changed his mind, and that was the end of the scariest thing that's ever happened to me while I was kind of camping. I was just coming back from a camping trip. So anyway, having covered all that, that is the camping events. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's one of those little tags. I'll see if I can back up and let y'all see it. Maybe I can. It's right. Let me see, I'll pull it this way. Can you see this thing? Yeah, you see it? You don't see many of those. He's pulling it with a little Ford something. Pretty, isn't it? They weigh about 800 pounds or so. So anyway, guys, that's the history of camping to this point. And this is Rusty 78609. Central Texas, USA at Walmart getting gas. And gas today is, you can't see it. Where is it? $1.68 or $1.69, I think. So anyway, thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye, buy USA made when you can. If you can. Take deep breaths, drink plenty of water, walk for some exercise, stretch when you can. You'll feel a lot better. Keep your health. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for the questions. I appreciate it. It gives me something to talk about. Bye-bye.